Working the workplace is a difficult task, for there is a lot of responsibility. It is something of a social experiment, as one has to develop and keep developing their social skills. You have to cooperate with people you sometimes disagree with. Hell, sometimes they hold a malice, or worse, outright contempt for you. Therefore, it is an outstanding daily achievement to overcome the inhibit nature designed us with. So to be clear, being able to hold down a job is more of a group experiment than an enterprise, which beautifully complements the statement, economics is a study of people. The human condition is akin to chaos, economies the study of order, withstanding the disorder of chaos. A good economic policy acknowledges and accepts the shortcomings of individuals and works with it. A lousy policy seeks through the medium of economics to address it. Ancient Rome, for example, for all its brutality, ultimately sought order. For all the negative press it receives, it is rarely mentioned the adoption of a stable currency, property rights in writing, and the rule of law. An uncomfortable fact is that of 2020, order or commerce can only flourish under the threat of violence, but thankfully still not through it. For example, Rome fell when the expense of military campaigns to install order outweighed the tax revenues when it was installed. The point here is initially the Roman Empire was ultimately an enterprise that, put simply, brought good to the world, or which inevitably got corrupted by despots. When legions marched to protect prestige rather than property rights, Rome began to fail. We see a different story regarding the British Empire, who, armed with the Roman experience, had the good sense to largely let the Indian and Irish possessions go. Sorry, Irish and Indian patriots, but your independence largely, maybe for the most part, materialised through British appeasement. Note, they did not relinquish Hong Kong so easily, because it was still a profit-producing colony. Of course, the British Empire bashers out there are lauding the fact I am romanticising imperialism. If so, I ask, given the present circumstances in that region, which is the lesser evil? A brutal empire who at least has to be seen upholding liberty, or one that does not? Also, there is evidence to suggest the British Empire was already diversifying away from commodity or industrial economies towards financial services at the turn of the last centuries. Note Hong Kong having a large stock exchange. And so let me put it to you, banking, stock markets ultimately led to the downfall of the traditional British Empire. Such are the complexities of imperialism. To say the British Empire ceased to exist after 1997 with the end or handover of Hong Kong is something of a half-truth. The reality is, long before the 90s, it was morphing into the globalist phenomenon we see today, where multinationals seduce national governments, not dissimilar to the European imperialism in the last few centuries. The global East India Company, for example. Or more relevant to this conversation, the 2020 globalist Google company and its contemporaries, who have, all but name, copy and pasted the modus operandi of their predecessor. To say Google, Apple, or Microsoft are American companies, or the former East Indian Company was British is a fallacy. These entities' relationship with their host nation relies exclusively with that nation's ability to extend its influence by any means necessary. Like Hollywood with China, they would trade their sovereignty with another power to secure their position if circumstances dictated, which, in a word, is capitalism, of which I am paradoxically defending here. I have worked in the construction industry on building factories for Microsoft, so there is a case for trickle-down economics right there. I acknowledge there is a place in the global economy for these multinationals. However, like the human condition, the corporate condition can be self-destructive or outrightly destructive towards the societies where they are present if left unchecked. More importantly, the responsibilities of these checks and balance fall soundly on the shoulders of the indigenous inhabitants where they operate. Hence my affiliation with the nation state.